The black Mercedes pulled up exactly as the rain started to fall. I should have known then that my carefully built life was about to shatter. 6 years of hiding, 6 years of peace, gone in the time it took for a car door to open. Yama, a fancy car. My 5-year-old son, Dun, tugged at my hand, his eyes wide with innocent excitement. The other kindergarten teachers were already whispering, phones subtly raised to capture whoever was important enough to arrive in a vehicle that cost more than our annual salary combined. I tried to turn away, tried to pull Dawn toward the school's back entrance. But my body had frozen, some primal instinct screaming danger before my mind could catch up. Then he stepped out. Gwak Junwai. 6 years. 6 years since that night. 6 years since he destroyed me with 5 words. It meant nothing. I'm engaged. The umbrella in my hand clattered to the ground. Rain soaked through my yellow cardigan. The one Dawn said made me look like sunshine, but I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. He was exactly as I remembered. Sharp jawline, perfectly styled black hair, that expensive cologne that used to cling to my skin for days. But there was something different in his eyes now. Something harder. More ruthless. Our gazes locked across the kindergarten playground. I watched his expression shift from casual boredom to shock, then to something I couldn't quite name. His eyes dropped to Dun, who was now jumping in puddles, completely oblivious to the nightmare unfolding. No. Bang Temuka SSI? Vice Principal Im appeared at my elbow, her voice grating with fake sweetness. This is Mr. Gwak Junwai, CEO of Paradise Hotel Group. He's touring our facilities for his fiancée's nephew. Could you show him around? You're our best teacher after all. I wanted to scream, wanted to grab Dawn and run. But my mother's voice echoed in my head. Never let them see you weak, Taemuk. You're stronger than what he did to you. I'm actually quite busy, I started. Nonsense. It'll only take a moment. Vice Principal Im was already walking away, leaving me alone with the man who haunted every nightmare and every moment I looked at my son's face. Junwai moved closer. Each step felt like a countdown to disaster. Taemuk. His voice was deeper than I remembered. It's been 6 years, 2 months, and 17 days, I said coldly, forcing myself to meet his eyes. But who's counting? Something flickered across his face. Pain? Regret? I didn't care. You disappeared. I looked for Yama. Dawn crashed into my legs, his red rain boots splashing water everywhere. I'm hungry. Can we get tteokbokki on the way home? Please, please, please. The world stopped. I felt Junwai's stare boring into Dun. Watched as his face went pale, then flushed, then pale again. His hands trembled as he crouched down, bringing himself eye level with our son. Hello, Junwai whispered, his voice cracking. What's your name? I'm Bang Dawn. I'm 5 years old and 3/4. Dawn held up his fingers proudly. Are you here to see our school? We have the best playground in all of Busan. Yama says so. Junwai's eyes, the same sharp, intelligent eyes now staring back at him from a 5-year-old's face, filled with something dangerous. Recognition. Understanding. Fury. Dun, go wait inside with Teacher Minji, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Yama will be right there. But the tteokbokki. Dawn. Now. My son recognized that tone. He scurried off, but not before shooting one last curious glance at the strange man who looked like he'd seen a ghost. The moment Dawn was inside, Junwai grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough that I couldn't pull away. He's mine. Not a question. A statement. An accusation. That child is mine. I yanked my arm free, 6 years of suppressed rage finally surfacing. That child is mine. I carried him. I birthed him alone while you were probably selecting wedding venues. I raised him through every fever, every nightmare, every milestone. You have no claim to him. You kept him from me. You said I meant nothing. The words ripped from my throat. Other teachers were definitely watching now, but I didn't care. You looked at me the morning after like I was garbage you needed to dispose of. What exactly was I supposed to do? Beg the almighty Gwak Junwai to acknowledge his mistake. Taemuk, we're done here. Don't come back to this school. Don't come near my son. I turned to leave. I'm not going anywhere, Junwai said quietly. Too quietly. That's my child. My blood. My heir. Something in his voice made my blood run cold. This wasn't the careless playboy from 6 years ago. This was a man who built empires and crushed anyone who stood in his way. You can't. Can't I? His smile didn't reach his eyes. I think you'll find I can do quite a lot, Tinksasai. He walked away, every step measured and purposeful. I stood in the rain, trembling, as parents hurried past with their children. That night, after Don fell asleep clutching his favorite stuffed bunny, I sat at our tiny kitchen table with my mother. She made me honey tea while I cried into my hands. He knows, Tom. He knows about Dawn. She stroked my hair like she used to when I was small. Then we fight like we always have. The doorbell rang at exactly 9 p.m. A courier stood there with an envelope bearing the logo of Seoul's most expensive law firm. My hands shook as I opened it. Notice of paternity test request and custody hearing. Below it, a handwritten note in Junwai's elegant script. You took 6 years from me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I collapsed against the doorframe as my mother grabbed my shoulders. How did he get our address? Our information? Legal documents? In less than 6 hours? The man I once loved had become my worst nightmare. And he was just getting started. The law office smelled like leather and intimidation. Seoul Tower loomed outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, a constant reminder that I was out of my depth. Busan suddenly felt like another world. Safe, small, Here, in this steel and glass tower, I was nothing but an omega who dared to keep a secret from a powerful alpha. Stop fidgeting, no, Byelha whispered, adjusting her blazer. My best friend since university had driven up from Busan the moment I called her law degree finally put to use for something that mattered. They want you to look weak. Don't give them the satisfaction. Across the massive conference tables sat Gwak Junwai and 3 lawyers who probably cost more per hour than I made in a month. He wore a black suit that screamed power, his expression unreadable behind expensive glasses I'd never seen him wear before. He looked like a stranger. Maybe he always was. Shall we begin? The head lawyer, a sharp-faced woman named Attorney Beck, slid a folder across the table. Mr. Gwak is willing to be generous. Child support, education funds, visitation rights, all in exchange for Mr. Bong's cooperation with the paternity test. My client has nothing to hide, Byelha said smoothly. We'll agree to the paternity test. But let's be clear, this isn't about cooperation. This is about a man who abandoned his responsibilities, suddenly wanting to play father. Junwai's jaw tightened. First crack in his armor. Abandoned? His voice was ice. How could I abandon a child I didn't know existed? You didn't want to know. The words exploded from me before I could stop them. You made that perfectly clear 6 years ago. The room went silent. Attorney Beck cleared her throat. Perhaps we should establish the facts. Mr. Bong, you claim that you and Mr. Gwak were involved approximately 6 years ago. Involved? Such a clinical word for the night that destroyed me. Yes. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I worked part-time at Paradise Hotel. Front desk, evening shifts. I was putting myself through university. I didn't look at Junwai as the memories flooded back. Couldn't. The company party. The hotel ballroom spinning with lights and laughter. Junwai, the owner's son, supposed to be celebrating his engagement announcement. But he kept drinking, kept watching me from across the room with those dark, intense eyes. You shouldn't be working during a party, he'd said, appearing at my desk near midnight. His words were slurred but his gaze was focused. Burning. Dance with me. Mr. Gwak, you're drunk. Let me call you a car. Dance with me, Timuk. The way he said my name, like a prayer and a curse. Please. Mr. Bong. Attorney Beck's voice snapped me back. What happened that night? I swallowed hard. We spent the night together. In one of the penthouse suites. He said things. That I was beautiful. That he couldn't stop thinking about me. That his engagement was a business arrangement. That he didn't love her. Junwai's knuckles went white against the table. And the next morning? Attorney Beck pressed. The next morning, he looked at me like I was his worst mistake. The words tasted like ash. He said he was drunk, that it meant nothing, that he was getting engaged and I should forget it ever happened. Then he left. I found an envelope with money on the nightstand. Like I couldn't finish. Didn't need to. So you ran away, Junwei said flatly. Found out you were pregnant and disappeared without a word. What was I supposed to do? I met his eyes finally, letting him see every ounce of pain he'd caused. Beg you to care? Tell your fiancé that you'd knocked up the help? I had nothing. No family money, no connections, no power. Just a baby growing inside me and the knowledge that his father thought he was nothing. You should have told me. Why? I stood up, ignoring Bayalha's warning hand on my arm. So you could pay me off? Offer to take care of it? Or maybe marry me out of obligation while you resented me and Dawn for ruining your perfect life. You don't know what I would have done. Yes, I do. Because you showed me exactly who you were that morning. Mr. Bong, please sit down, Attorney Beck said coolly. Emotional outbursts won't help your case. I sat, trembling, hating how weak I felt. The paternity test took 10 minutes. A cheek swab for me, another for Junwei. Results would take 3 days, though we all knew what they'd say. Don had his father's eyes. His smile. His stubborn chin. 3 days later, we reconvened. Attorney Beck slid the results across the table with a satisfied smile. 99.9% probability of paternity. Congratulations, Mr. Guac. You're definitely the father. Junwei closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, something had shifted. Hardened. I want full custody. The room tilted. What? Bayalha half stood. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. Junwei's voice was steel. Mr. Bong deliberately kept my son from me for 5 years. He's demonstrated poor judgment and deceptive behavior. Furthermore, as an unmated Omega single parent working a low-income job, he cannot provide the opportunities and security my son deserves. Your son? I whispered. Don doesn't even know you. Because you stole 5 years from me. For the first time, his composure cracked. 5 years of birthdays, first words, first steps. You took all of it. And you think I'm just going to accept weekend visitation? Don is my heir. He belongs with the Guac family. He belongs with his Iyama, I said, voice breaking. We'll see what the court says. Junwei stood, buttoning his suit jacket. My lawyers will file the custody petition by end of day. He walked out without looking back. I sat there, numb as Bayalha squeezed my hand. We'll fight this, Temuk. I promise. Mr. Bong. A man stood in the doorway. Late 30s, expensive suit, smile that didn't reach his eyes. I'm Yom Chidu. I believe we should talk. He slid a business card across the table. Below his name, Seo, Dragon Gate Investments. I have information about Guac Junwei, he said quietly. Information that could destroy his custody case. Interested? Bayalha grabbed my arm. Timok, don't. But I was already looking at Yom Chidu's predatory smile, thinking of Dawn, thinking of losing my son. What kind of information? His smile widened. The kind that proves Guac Junwei is lying about everything. The woman sitting across from me wore diamonds that could pay my rent for a year. Gomels. Junwei's mother. The matriarch of the Guac family empire. She didn't belong in my small Busan apartment with its worn furniture and Dawn's crayon drawings taped to the walls. But here she was, sipping tea my mother had nervously prepared, looking at our home like it was a disease. Let's not waste time with pleasantries, Mr. Bong. She set down her cup with a sharp click. You're clearly an intelligent young man. You understand what's at stake. My mother, Shim Pongja, hovered protectively near my shoulder. Mrs. Guac, with all respect, if you're here to threaten my son. Threaten? Heavens, no. Go Malsuk's smile was poison wrapped in silk. I'm here to make him an offer. She slid a check across our coffee table. My vision blurred looking at the zeros. 500 million won. Enough to buy a house, secure your future, send yourself back to school. Her perfectly manicured finger tapped the check. All you have to do is leave Seoul. Drop the custody fight. Let my grandson take his rightful place in the Guac family. Don's rightful place is with his Iyama, I said quietly. His rightful place is with his father. In a proper home, with proper education, proper connections. She leaned forward. What can you give him, Mr. Bong? Hand-me-down clothes? A one-bedroom apartment? A life of struggle while you work yourself to death as a kindergarten teacher? Each word was a knife, perfectly aimed. I can give him love, I whispered. Love. She laughed. Love doesn't pay for university. Love doesn't open doors. Love doesn't erase the stigma of being an Omega's bastard child. She stood, smoothing her Chanel suit. Take the money. Be smart. Because if you fight us, you'll lose everything, including Dawn. After she left, I sat staring at that check until my mother gently took it from my hands and tore it into pieces. We don't need their dirty money, she said fiercely. But the doubt had already taken root. 3 days later, I met Yong Chidu at a cafe far from prying eyes. He slid a folder across the table. Inside were private investigator reports, dated 4 years ago. My hands shook as I read. Subject, Bong Ting. Status, confirmed pregnant. Location, Busan. Recommendation, maintain surveillance. Junwei knew, I breathed. He knew about Dawn. For at least 4 years. Yong Chidu's smile was triumphant. He had you investigated, confirmed the pregnancy, and chose to ignore it. Which means his current custody claim, based on not knowing, is fraudulent. Why? The word came out broken. Why would he know and do nothing? Because acknowledging you meant acknowledging his failure. His weakness. Chidu leaned closer. Use this. Expose him. I'll provide lawyers, media contacts, whatever you need. We'll destroy him together. Why are you helping me? His expression darkened. Because Guak Junwei destroyed my sister. Promised her marriage, used her, then discarded her when she became inconvenient. I've been waiting years for leverage against him. He tapped the folder. You're my weapon, Mr. Bong. Use it. I left without answering, the folder burning in my bag. The court-ordered supervised visit happened in a sterile room with plastic toys and a social worker taking notes. Dawn clung to me, confused and scared. Why do I have to play with that man? That man sat awkwardly on a too small chair, trying to smile at our son who looked at him like a stranger. Dawn, Junwei said softly. I brought you something. He pulled out an expensive robot toy, the kind advertised on TV that I could never afford. Dawn's eyes widened, then filled with tears. I don't want toys. I want to go home. He buried his face in my shirt. Please, I want to go home. I watched something break in Junwei's expression. The corporate mask crumbled. His hands trembled as he set down the rejected toy. Dawn, he whispered. I'm your thing. But Dawn just cried harder. For the first time since this nightmare began, I saw Junwei as he really was. Not a powerful CEO or vengeful ex-lover. Just a man who'd realized too late what he'd lost. What he'd never had. He needs time, the social worker said gently. These things can't be forced. Junwei nodded, but I saw the devastation in his eyes as we left. That night my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number with a photo attached. Junwei and a beautiful woman in a designer dress. His arm around her waist. Her diamond ring catching the light. The text read, tomorrow 2 p.m. Press conference. He's announcing our wedding. Drop the custody case or I'll make sure you never see your bastard again. Pilsen. My phone clattered to the floor. Bailha arrived within an hour, finding me still frozen. Taemook, we have options. Chidu's evidence would destroy him. He's trying to destroy you. I know. I picked up the folder, Yong Chidu's damning proof. But using this, it makes me just as manipulative as them. And Don would grow up knowing his parents destroyed each other. So what do you do? I didn't know. The final custody hearing was tomorrow. Junwei would show up with his perfect fiancé, his perfect family image, his perfect case for why an Omega like me couldn't possibly be enough. At 11 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find Junwei, still in his suit but disheveled. His hair was messy, tie loosened, eyes red-rimmed. I'm withdrawing the custody case, he said without preamble. The world tilted. What? I'm withdrawing it. Tomorrow. I'll tell the judge I was wrong. His voice cracked. When Don cried for you today, I realized I'm not fighting for him. I'm fighting for myself. For my ego. For some fantasy of being a father when I have no idea how to be one. Junwei. But there's something I need to tell you first. He met my eyes, and I saw genuine fear there. About that night 6 years ago. About what I said. He took a shaking breath. I lied to him about all of it. I wasn't that drunk. I remembered everything. And it meant everything. The folder slipped from my numb fingers. What? I was a coward. Junwei stood in my doorway, rain dripping from his hair, looking more broken than I'd ever seen him. 6 years of anger warred with the part of me that still remembered loving him. You don't get to do this, I said, voice shaking. You don't get to rewrite history because you feel guilty. I'm not rewriting anything. I'm telling you the truth I should have told you 6 years ago. He stepped inside without invitation, and I was too stunned to stop him. That night, Taemuk, I wasn't drunk. I mean, I'd been drinking, but I knew exactly what I was doing. What I was saying. My chest tightened. Then why? Because I was terrified. The words tumbled out like a confession. My entire life was planned. The engagement to Pil Sang-ok was arranged when we were children. My mother had my future mapped out to the last detail. And then there was you, this beautiful, brilliant Omega who looked at me like I was just a person, not a dynasty. You made me laugh. Made me feel real. Stop. My hands were shaking. You don't get to make yourself the victim. I'm not. I'm the villain, Tate. I know that. He ran his hands through his hair desperately. That morning when I woke up next to you, I panicked. Because I'd never felt like that before. So I did what I do best. I destroyed it before it could destroy me. I said it meant nothing because admitting it meant everything would have meant choosing you over my family, my duty, everything I was raised to be. And I wasn't brave enough. So you left money like I was a prostitute? He flinched. I know how that looked. I hated myself the moment I walked out. Spent weeks trying to find you, but you'd quit, changed your number. What did you expect? A thank you card? I expected never to see you again. And I thought that was for the best. That you'd move on, find someone worthy of you. His voice dropped. Then 3 years ago, my guilt got the better of me. I hired investigators. The folder. Chidu's evidence. You knew about Dawn, I whispered. I knew you were pregnant. The investigators sent photos, you at a clinic, holding your stomach, crying. His eyes glistened. I stayed up every night staring at those photos. Part of me wanted to come to you, claim you both. But I was engaged, the wedding was planned, and I convinced myself you were better off without me. That my family would destroy you if I acknowledged you. That I was protecting you by staying away. Protecting me? The laugh that escaped was bitter. I gave birth alone, Junwei. I screamed for 3 hours with only my mother holding my hand. I survived on government assistance and worked 3 jobs while studying for my teaching license. I held Dawn through every fever, every nightmare, every time he asked why he didn't have an APA. You call that protection? I call it the worst mistake of my life. Tears streamed down his face. When I saw him in that playground, God, Taemuk, he looks just like me. And I realized I'd wasted 5 years being a coward. So I convinced myself the custody battle was about my rights. About making up for lost time. But today, when he cried for you, he collapsed onto my worn couch, head in his hands. He doesn't need my money or my name. He needs his Iyama. The person who actually raised him, loved him. I can't take him from you just because biology says I can. That would make me the monster my mother raised me to be. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to scream. But all that came out was, why are you telling me this now? Because Sang-ok is forcing me to choose. Marry her tomorrow and give up Dawn, or she'll destroy both of you in the media. She has connections, money, a PR team ready to paint you as a gold-digging Omega who trapped me. He looked up, eyes red. I'm calling off the engagement. Facing my mother's wrath. Probably getting disowned. But I can't, I won't, let her hurt you or Dawn anymore. You'll lose everything. I already lost everything. 6 years ago, when I let you walk away. The silence stretched between us, heavy with grief and might have beens. I can't forgive you, I finally said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I know. And I won't let you back into our lives just because you finally grew a conscience. I know. But I took a shuddering breath. Dawn deserves to know his Appa. Not the CEO. Not the playboy. The real person, whoever that is. Junwei's head snapped up, hope flickering in his eyes. I'm not promising anything, I said quickly. You'll start slow. Supervised visits. You'll prove through actions, not words, that you've changed. And if you hurt him, if you disappoint him, I will make sure you never see him again. Mother or no mother, custody battle or not. I understand. And us. I wrapped my arms around myself. There is no us. You destroyed that. Maybe someday we can be friends. Co-parents. But don't expect more. I don't expect anything, he said quietly. Except the chance to be the father I should have been from the start. 1 year later. Appa higher. Push me higher. I watched from the park bench as Junwei pushed Dawn on the swing, both of them laughing. It had been a long year. Therapy sessions. Awkward dinners. Slowly building trust. Junwei had kept every promise. He'd broken off his engagement despite his mother cutting him off financially. Started over with a smaller company, proving himself without the family name. Showed up every week for Dawn, rain or shine, never missing a soccer game or parent meeting. He'd earned the title Appa through patience and love. He's good with him, my mother said, sitting beside me with coffee. I never thought I'd say this, but maybe he's changed. Maybe, I said softly. Junwei looked over, catching my eye. He smiled, tentative, hopeful, real. And for the first time in 6 years, I smiled back. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe, someday. Dawn's laughter filled the air as the sun set over Busan, painting everything gold. We weren't a family. Not in the traditional sense. But we were something. Something healing. Something that might, with time and care, become beautiful. Yama, come push me too. I stood, walking toward my son and the man who'd broken my heart. Toward whatever future we'd build together. One day at a time.